Welcome, friends,
to the How-To Heretic.
I'm Uncle Mark.
I'm Uncle Dan.
And I'm Uncle Doug.
And this is your user's guide to life on the outside.
That's right. Leaving religion is your first step into a larger, better world.
But it can also be a scary world. Things work differently now.
Never fear. That's why we're here.
We're your audio uncles. And with help from good friends and experts in all sorts of fields.
We're going to share the stories and seek the knowledge to build a great life.
After all, you only get one that we know of, so you better make the most of it.
Let's do a show!
Hey, uncles.
I'm still here.
Yay!
It is what a delight to see you both. We got a show coming up.
Yeah, we got an interesting show. I think, Uncle Dan, you're going to introduce us to one of history's great rivalries.
Yeah, it is a boxing match for the ages. It is the Thrilla in vanilla.
Pretty much.
If
you got something wrong with your knees or your kidneys, we're going to talk you through it.
We'll heal you and then debunk that healing, and then what?
And then I'm going to talk about a medical thing, and
it's a bit of woo that makes you go wow.
Yeah, you're going to want to talk to your doctor about this miracle. So let's stay.
Yeah, and if your doctor says yes, leave.
Then get a new doctor.
Not the doctor for you. And then I'm going to take us through a how-to.
Yeah, it's mysterious.
We won't crack any Da Vinci codes with this one, but it's a conversation I just want to get started and out into the ether.
All right,
and people can write into us if they have more to add or whatever, and we'll probably, I don't know, it's going to be sexy.
Okay, now I'm concerned. So remember, I do the Twitter, Dan does the Facebook. So yell at Dan on Facebook about this. So yeah, that's going to be fun. I'm not sure what we're going to do with it, but I'm looking somewhat forward to it.
And let's just do a show.
Let's do a show. Right on. You know, Uncle Doug,
Uncle Mark,
ever since God made Adam out of dust and then made a lady friend out of his rib, there have been people.
there have been
people.
For better or for worse.
And sometimes
Mostly
more,
worse.
sometimes more, sometimes less. But
Jury's out on whether that was a good call or not.
still, they are still deliberating. So occasionally there's people of note other than Adam and Eve to meet.
Bullshit.
And I think that, I know, they were the best people. They were the first fruit lovers and snake friends on Earth, and I think we should salute them for that.
Can there be a children's show called Fruit Lovers and Snake Friends?
I'm sure Tammy Faye thought of that first. So now that we've concluded that they were the best people, let's talk about some other people.
If we must.
And Uncle Dan has some people to meet.
Yeah,
in
we're
our
gonna
neighborhood.
We're gonna have a showdown.
Yes,
We're gonna have a knockdown, drag out fight.
Yeah.
On our hands here. So let me first introduce you to Randall James Hamilton Zwinge.
He was the inventor of the Zwinge.
The Zwinge.
Which was a door hinge and a kitchen sponge.
Both at the same time.
Yeah.
It's good because you can just close your dirties into the door and
Didn't move a lot of units.
No. This is Zwinge. Anyway, this is a man born in 1928 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. He is now better known as the Amazing Randy, conjurer and prestidigitator and escape artist.
An all-around good guy.
That may be debatable to some, but
yeah.
I've met him a number of times, and he is a delight. He
Yes.
is just he is the diminutive
Yes.
man who
A tiny, wizened, magical homosexual.
yes, indeed,
Yes.
all of those things.
That's what I aspire to be.
A man who one of his greatest tricks, in my estimation, is the length of his eyebrows, which is astounding.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen pictures of him lately.
That's how Houdini died. He wasn't looking, and he walked into his eyebrow.
Strangled by Randy's eyebrows.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. As a kid, young James Randy, as he's now known, dropped out of high school and joined the carnival as a carnival conjurer, as a magician, and a mentalist. He did a bunch of mentalist work, which is sort of like mind reading tricks.
Yeah.
made a name for himself as a magician. Even posed as an astrologer for a while in a tabloid rag.
And an escape artist too, right?
Yeah, very famous for some of his escapes, including one where he was helicoptered over the Niagara Falls hanging
straitjacket,
hanging by his ankles in a straitjacket, and then freed himself from the straitjacket. So yeah, he made quite a name for himself. But during his early years as a magician, he worked in the UK, he worked in Europe, Philippines, Japan, and he would witness people claiming that they were doing real things. Now, of course, his contention is always that magicians are kind of the most honest
liars. They tell you they're going to lie to you,
right? And then they do,
right?
And that's an honest way of doing it. But he kept seeing these people who were like doing, claiming that they were prophets or whatever, and just doing mentalist tricks, just doing a standard, trick that
pick a card kind of stuff.
Well, or rather, everybody write something and put it into this envelope, and I will predict what all of these envelopes say.
Oh, gotcha.
There's a lovely, a very easy trick called a one ahead that he would see people do and claim that they were psychic or whatever and convince people.
Right.
And I think
being dishonest, basically, pretending that it was real.
Right. Doing the same tricks, but instead of saying I'm doing a trick, saying
this is real.
I'm actually psychic and I can do this stuff. So he eventually became was very disturbed by people believing this shit.
Right.
And became a debunker, and became one of the more famous debunkers. Really famously taking down a guy named Uri Geller, who was a guy who was studied by some university professors who were convinced that he had
telekinetic
powers.
Could move things with his mind.
Could bend spoons with using just his mind. Could move things on the table.
Yeah.
Could do all this stuff.
If you've never heard the term spoon bender,
right,
it refers to a charlatan, and it kind of comes out of the Uri Geller universe.
And there was this whole thing, especially in the 70s and 80s, it became this thing to like convince people that you could do these magic tricks. That you had telekinetic powers.
Yeah, I used to see him on the Tonight Show, on Johnny Carson show. Yeah.
And famously, James Randi was consulted with. Johnny Carson had Uri Geller on the Tonight Show, and James Randi said, "Okay, look, if you're going to have him on, that's fine. Just make sure that you provide
all the stuff,
all of the props. He can tell you what to provide, but you provide them, and you make sure that nobody touches them until they're brought in front of Geller at the moment."
Right.
Well, without prepared props, guess what happened? Suddenly, Uri Geller's powers failed him.
He was having an off night.
He had a bad off night. They cut to commercial. He wasn't able to do anything. They cut to commercial. They come back to him. He is defeated.
Wow.
And he just claims, of course, that like somehow the powers didn't work that day.
Yeah.
So one wonders why he would have gone through with it. I mean, why wouldn't he I missed my flight, I couldn't make it. Because he knew that he was faking it. He knew that he was going to be presented with props that weren't his, so he knew it wasn't going to work.
It turns out that almost every time, and Randy has proven this over and over, you can get access to the props. Almost every time you can find a way to do it. And so what he wasn't counting on was just that
they were secured and he could never get
Randy had prepared the Tonight Show so well.
Wow. Right.
And it's one of the cringiest things you've ever seen.
Yeah, it's pretty cringy. Yeah.
You cannot watch this.
Yeah.
My butthole got so tight it went inside out for a minute. I don't even know what
I can't remember. Was Randy sitting there too?
Nope.
No.
Yeah, he was
not in that show.
And Geller didn't know that Randy was involved, right? Or did he?
No, not then. But then, Randy sort of made a name for himself as a debunker.
Right? Yeah.
So let's take that, put it on hold. And Randy did a whole bunch of other stuff as a debunker that was amazing. But I'm going to put Randy on hold and introduce you to one Mr. Peter Popoff.
Yes.
The second contender.
PP.
In our
3 Ps.
showdown.
Yes.
Peter Popoff, born in occupied Berlin, West Berlin, in the 40s, in 1946.
So this is kind of Hedwig's origin story.
Right, yeah, yes, exactly. And I'm guessing that Popoff also had an angry inch. He emigrated with his family to the U.S., where he grew up. He attended college here. But his father was a preacher, a revival preacher. And Popoff himself was sort of brought into the family biz, saw how the whole thing worked.
Yeah.
And was billed as the Miracle Boy evangelist. He began making appearances as a preacher as a very young person, and was sort of put on the marquee as someone who could do faith healings and had powers, including foretelling the future, all of this sort of stuff.
Right.
He began doing his own thing, sort of in the 80s. And became a televangelist.
Yeah, boy, that was the right decade to get in on that.
No
get
doubt.
on that hay wagon.
Yeah,
right?
TV preaching had not really been a thing much up until that, or at least not entertainment preaching.
Right.
And that's what Popoff did. And Popoff's big specialty was he would heal the sick.
Yep.
And he did this by knowing magically what ailments. He would call people by name, random people, not plants, from the audience.
Yeah.
And he would heal them.
Yeah, out of a stadium, out of a large arena.
A big group of people, and he would just be able to know, okay, over here in this left section, Selma Johnson, are you over here? And she would stand up, and he would say,
a problem with your kidneys.
Yeah, exactly. I'm reading that the Lord's telling me something about your knees. Are your knees troubling you, Selma? And she, oh, yeah, the knees. Oh, my God, how do you know this? And then he would, scream and yell and hit her in the head, and she would fall down, and then she'd be cured.
Yep.
And that was his big shtick.
I'm sure he never did any amputations, though, right?
So here we've got in one corner the amazing Randy, professional skeptic and debunker.
Yeah.
And in the other corner, Peter Popoff, professional, apparently healer of the sick and
mind reader,
and reader. Well, and guy with conduit to Jesus Christ who would tell him how this all worked.
That's right.
Now,
and that's the end of the story.
And that's the end of the story.
Good job,
two
everyone.
guys.
Moving on.
Let's leave it at that. Popoff was weird, man. If I was doing his shtick, the one thing I wouldn't do is get real specific about things. Because one of the things he would do is be like, it wasn't just, hey, I know your name and your ailment. It was, I know your name. Now you live at 1422 Angel Crest Drive. Is that right?
Yeah.
And that to me is the big giveaway.
Yeah, that's
because
a tell.
People would walk into his revivals and they'd ask them to write down on a card what's your name, what's your address, and what's your ailment.
Yeah.
Hello.
And how?
Yeah.
And you'll tell how the game worked.
Yeah.
But how did they not know?
Yeah. If you're Selma and he's like, hey, Selma, how could he have possibly known my name?
Right. And
Right.
ostensibly it was to get on his mailing list.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, and also somehow you were supposed to write your section and seat number.
Yeah. Well,
with your ticket on it. So that
your ticket had your section and seat number. So they had that association. You didn't have to write that down.
Right.
They had that association.
Gotcha.
Right? I mean, it's probably one of those things where it's like two halves of the ticket, and you write down your stuff on the ticket or whatever.
Right. So Randy smelled a rat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's easy to smell a rat with a faith healer. Period.
Yes.
They're all rats. Oh, spoiler! Shit. Sorry.
Fuck.
They're all
There goes
charlatans.
my next career move.
Right. Exactly. But this guy,
Uncle Mark touching your butt for Jesus.
this guy had this special trick where he could there's no way he can before a show memorize all of these cards. You know
Of
what
course
I mean?
not.
He would do
and addresses and
he would do 15 or 20 of these people in a night. So
Right.
how is he doing it? So Randy sends some people into his shows, And this is a fun thing. Like, he sent some people into the shows, and one good way to debunk this, he sent in a man dressed as a woman.
Yeah.
And then wrote on the card that she had a uterine problem.
Yeah.
And then she was magically cured of her uterine cancer or whatever.
And given a penis.
Right. So, like, we knew that he was a charlatan because the Lord wouldn't have told him that a fake woman has a problem with her uterus.
Right.
So we already knew that. But how was he doing the trick was what James Randi wanted to find out.
Right.
And somebody noticed at one of these shows that he had a hearing aid in one of his ears.
Right.
Well, in the 80s, plenty of people had hearing aids, but there wasn't a lot of like now we'd all be like, okay, you got a communication device. Like, we've all seen Mission Impossible. We know what's happening. Yeah. But back then, this wasn't quite as pervasive an issue or a technology. So, but how do you prove it? So Randy set up hired a private investigator, whose name I have written somewhere. Alexander Jason.
Yeah.
Who was an electronics expert, among other things. And they set up a scanner that would scan the airwaves for a frequency that wasn't normally in use, but that lit up. And they got lucky because this is not a perfect. This was not a great technology at the time. It's pretty basic stuff, Radio Shack type stuff.
Yeah.
But they found it. They caught, on some. It was funny because Randy later called it, that's the frequency that God speaks to you on, whatever megahertz.
On some shortwave frequency.
Right,
exactly. 1060 AM is God's frequency.
Right, exactly. So they catch this. So like the scanner lands on a thing. They hit record and hear these sort of footsteps with high heel footsteps, and then up to the mic you hear this female voice going, "Hello, Petey, I love you.
Oh, man.
I hope you can hear me because if you can't, you're in trouble." And then she launches in.
I hope this never shows up on Dateline.
Right, exactly. Suddenly, it's his wife's voice.
And Omarosa busts them. That woman is amazing. She's in the right place at the right time.
Always. Yeah. Always and forever. No, so Randy manages to catch her feeding him all of these lines, and they've got the video from his TV show, and they line it up directly with the audio of his wife just feeding him. Nope, look to your left now. She's coming down the aisle. Okay. And he would just, Alice Jones, are you here? Alice, oh, come on, Alice. She's got pancreatic cancer. You've got pancreatic cancer. She needs, and blah, blah, blah. And this was his shtick.
Wow.
So he's exposed.
Yep.
Randy goes back onto Randy, finds the proof, pieces it together, then goes back onto the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
Reveals it all. He's gathered all of this evidence. He reveals it all in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
And, of course, it's the end of Popoff's career.
Was it?
Psych! If you believed that, you haven't been paying attention to our show. As we all know, people are the dumbest.
Yep.
No.
Both Geller and Popoff still are out there in the ether, are they not?
They are.
Yeah.
They are, because you can expose the trick, but when people want to believe a thing, God damn do they want to believe a thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and Popoff didn't just use this trick. Popoff used other tricks. Like, for instance, this is delightful, seating someone in a wheelchair.
Right.
This is your seat. And then magically raising them from the wheelchair, and look at how well they can walk now.
That's really funny.
Oh, my God.
So
I have 17D, but it's a wheel. Just sit down, okay?
Just sit.
Sorry.
That's your chair.
Now dance.
And, if you have problems with your knees, they would sit you in that, and they would be like, you have problems with your legs, you're healed. And then they'd walk all around and dance for joy, because you don't want to, make the dude look like an idiot right then and there.
Yeah.
There's too much pressure. So he had lots of tricks. He just had to get rid of the earpiece, and then there were still plenty that he could do.
Rubes. There were still plenty of rubes to...
Yeah, so I mean, he did declare bankruptcy sort of right after right after that. And guess who he called on to help him with his bankruptcy? The Rubes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Help me with, oh my gosh, we've been destroyed by evil atheists out to get us.
The enemies of Christ.
Right. Satan is out there fighting us. We need to save ourselves.
Right. That's depressing.
Send your money.
Yeah.
And by the 90s, he was back up and running again. So there you have it.
In fact, I think John Oliver in one of his takedown pieces had a back and forth with Popoff, right? Say, send me $1, we'll send you this.
Oh, did he do that seed?
The concept,
the Church of Perpetual Exemption or whatever it was?
Right, the seed money. You have to send him the seed money, then they send you 7 pieces of cloth.
Right.
Then you send them $4 more, and they send you like some cooking oil, and then you send them...
Well, and
it went on for 50 correspondences or something.
Popoff had this amazing thing where he had miracle water that was bottled at the same spring that saved people who lived at Chernobyl.
Oh, good.
He literally talked about this.
No.
There was this pool of water that, all of the other, that was blessed by Jesus, and all of the non-Christians died, but the Christians who made it to this pool that was blessed by Jesus magically survived. This water will save you from anything. And he sold that.
It was called Geiger Springs.
It was, yes, exactly.
Yeah, so Randy did the Lord's work. He definitely made a dent in these two guys. But
here's the trick: doing that work, people want to fucking believe, and that's the thing.
People want to show.
That's the thing that we all need to be cautious of. Is that when the exposure happens, we all want to believe that everybody will wake up and go, "Oh shit, the emperor wasn't wearing clothes."
Right.
But we have to understand that every time the emperor is exposed,
there's just another frequency to turn the knob to.
There's a whole bunch of people who are just like, I still see clothes.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And I will give him my money.
So I guess what we're doing here is useless.
It's all useless
like
and
Randy.
James Randy. He. This is the same guy who posted a reward of $1 million if you could prove in laboratory conditions that you actually had any kind of psychic ability. If you could, he opened it to so many psychics, astrology, all of these different
telekinesis.
Anything. If you can, if we can agree on some basic, and plenty of people took him up on it. We'll agree on some very basic laboratory conditions.
Yeah.
I remember one. He had a show for a while that would do this, and I remember one where there was a British psychic who was in consultation all the time with the police. She would go to the police and help them, quote unquote, find the thing.
Right.
And what he would do is he had a whole bunch of implements, a hammer, a pickaxe, a this, a that, a thing, and just say, find the one or more of these may or may not have been used in a crime, in a murder.
Right.
Use your psychic ability and pick it out. And she would pick up a thing and say, she'd pick up a hammer that they had just bought at a hardware store.
Right.
And, this, I feel glass. This was involved in glass. I just feel glass. I don't know how. I don't know what it was, but a glass. And then she'd go to another thing.
Boy, what a lead.
Right. Great. Fantastic.
I feel like there was a nail.
I feel...
somewhere.
She picked up a fireman's axe, which had actually been used in a murder, and was like, I got nothing. So, the point is,
The point is firemen are murderers. That's what Dan is trying to say.
The point is there are psychics who are millionaires, but not from proving their psychic abilities.
Right.
But yet, tell that to, go and watch An Honest Liar, go and watch any skeptical movie or whatever, and then tell that to your friend who believes in the Long Island medium, and you will get exactly nowhere.
Yeah. But you will enjoy the movie.
Yes, indeed.
You'll enjoy Randy. He's a lovely man.
Well, we try anyway.
Did I ever tell you guys that I opened for James Randy? No. Or rather, he opened for me, surprisingly. I don't know. Me and Frank from Thank God I'm Atheist were asked to go and speak at a skeptical convention.
Yeah.
And strangely, we were put after the keynote of James Randy.
Oh, funny.
Which was weird. We were sort of the closing goofy comedy duo or whatever. which we're not comedians, but we were billed as that. Anyway,
not funny anyway.
we're not funny. That's for sure. You're off the show.
That's my job.
You are fired from this show.
That's my job.
Anyway, it was very fun. I got to open with the line, I'd like to thank my opening act, James Randi, the amazing Randy. So anyway, that's the Pop-Off Randy incident.
Great story.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, let's move on.
Uncle Dan.
Oh, yes.
I'm feeling the need for woo.
Well, yeah. Here's the thing. I feel like my brain could use some help, some woo and help.
No one's hit me in the head with a hammer in the past week.
I need some brain stuff. Uncle Mark, you got anything for me?
Well, guys, we very frequently have woo to recommend to people, and this is a woo that I'm not going to lie to you. I was just a tad hungover when I was preparing this one, and I at some point started to feel a little queasy. So I hope I don't do this to you. But this is a woo that you need like you need a hole in your head. So this is a thing called trepanation or trepaning.
Yeah.
And you may, if you're lucky, you've never heard of this. And I'm going to change that now, but it's basically putting a hole in your head, is what trepaning is. So
I need that, like I need. I guess that's what I need.
Like there's a John Denver song about something needing a thing, and I can't remember what it is, but it's really good. We'll talk about that later.
Okay, great.
So here's how strange this is. Trepanation, as bizarrely as this might seem, is the oldest known surgery in the world.
True.
Really?
And not only that, it's the oldest known surgery still practiced, at least occasionally for legitimate medical reasons today.
Okay.
So the reason we know that it's the oldest known surgery is because we have found the skull of a man who lived in France 7,000 years ago, or at least died there. Maybe he lived someplace else.
Right.
I don't know. Story for another time.
But his skull ended up in France.
So, by means of some sort, his skull ended up in France 7,000 years ago. And today, and we know that he survived the trepanation because the inch and a half hole in the side of his head had substantial bone regrowth.
Right.
Wow.
So he
now wait. You're saying that skulls aren't like hair and nails, and they don't keep growing after death?
Well, we're going to get to some interesting ideas about this theory that, will be sad. So,
but they found skulls like this all over the world.
So in pre-European history of the European continent, so far a full 15% of the adult skulls they have found from that period
15%
have trepanation holes. Now, that could just be crazy random sampling as you find things in the dirt.
Yeah. Right.
But there could be substantially more. There could be substantially less than 15% of the people.
It was all the rage at the time, apparently.
Yeah.
It was the fashion at the time. And people apparently lived after this procedure.
Yeah.
It was also, as you said, a very common practice in Asia and very common in pre-Columbian Latin America, practiced by the Incas and the Mayans, among others. And
what was everybody doing?
Well, it's not really.
Why were you drilling holes in folks' heads?
The only thing they had in common across the globe is the proclivity to drill a hole in your head.
Well, after you got done with not reading and not writing, there was a lot of time left to just think about the weightier topics. Somebody should drill a hole in my head.
Somebody at some point was like, "I've got an idea."
Yeah,
I've been really bored a couple times in my life, and this has never occurred to me.
And so there were holes that were kind of incised or chipped with something sharp, and there were holes that were abrased. Like scraped open.
Yeah.
Oh God.
With a rock or a God knows what they had.
Fortunately, in those days, they had really good anesthesia. So.
They sure did. And whatever the version of pre-Columbian, 80 grit sandpaper was. So, so it's not clear why these cultures practice this. It probably has something to do with demons and witchcraft and letting the crazy out of your head.
Yeah.
and how the fuck they managed to do it successfully, and people lived like in non-sanitary conditions.
Right. Because it's true that when they first found a lot of these skulls, when this phenomenon was first noticed, they just assumed that it was something that happened after their death.
Yeah, or was the cause of death. It was war or something.
Which should make sense. That's
right.
a good assumption.
Of course you'd assume that.
Right.
Until somebody discovered this fucking bone regrowth.
Yeah. And you just went on with whatever you fucking did. Og kept hunting mastodons with a giant fucking dirty hole in his head. His brain got dirty and dried out, but on he went. So,
well, I'm guessing that they probably re-stretched the skin over it or something.
I don't know.
Or had a lovely hat.
God only knows.
Nothing like a early Indo-European felt hat to keep your brain clean.
I think they just packed the hole with dirt. Is probably the most likely thing.
Yikes. So
maybe straw.
Little fucking straw nest. So we know that the classical Greeks believed it was useful. Hippocrates himself, the father of medicine, believed, apocryphally the father of medicine.
Father of hip-hop.
And definitely the father of hip-hop. Good friend of Suge Knight's. He himself gave very specific instructions for this practice when treating things like seizures.
Okay.
And European physicians practiced it well into the Renaissance, believing it could successfully treat pressure caused by head injuries. And oddly enough, they were correct. So when I said trepanation was still practiced for legitimate reasons today, that's what it's mostly useful for, is they will remove, a trauma physician may remove part of your skull. Obviously they do it for regular brain surgery anyway, but they will remove part of your skull to relieve pressure. And the new thinking is if the brain has been so injured that it wants to swell, you let it swell.
Right.
And then once the swelling's gone down, you replace. I guess you just put it in a bag.
It happened to a friend of mine
by the nightstand. Yeah,
a friend of mine had a horrible hepatitis thing, and his brain started to swell. So they cut a hole to relieve that pressure.
Yeah, a friend of mine was in a terrible pedestrian car accident, and they did the same with her skull. Took off a big piece, let it swell, let it go down.
Boy, that's weird.
Yeah, they just put it in a drawer.
Yeah,
next to your bed in a nightstand.
And now your friend is bionic.
They put it in the fridge like with everybody's lunch.
Yeah.
And it says,
well, you're not using it.
Do not open.
I swear to God, don't take this.
Just don't think anything for the next couple hours.
Yeah. So, so it's still done, but under certain, clinical medical conditions. But so, yay, Renaissance doctors knowing something about a thing.
Well, I mean, let's be real. We're all proud of how we're doing it now. In 100 years, they're going to look back on it and call us barbarians. So,
this is actually a plot point from Star Trek 4.
It is.
It is. Yeah, they did. Chekhov's fell off an aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
His brain was swelling, and they were going to drill a hole in his head. And Dr. McCoy busted into the room
and stopped
and
them.
said, "You barbarians, knock it off!" and waved his little magic wand over him.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So, my personal belief is in 100 years we're going to be bashing each other's heads with rocks again.
And we're going to be back to clubs and sticks.
We'll be praying for Renaissance medicine.
I find that overly optimistic, personally.
We won't have heads left to bash in. Now, there are some folks who have some ideas about holes in heads that will make your modern day trauma physician want to run screaming into the night. These are people like Peter Halverson, Bart Hughes, Joe Mellon that believe that the brains of children are able to properly. No, don't worry, it's not going to.
They're not trepanning children.
Yes, that the brains of children are able to properly pulse, expand, and contract because of the unhardened childhood skull. But most importantly, because of the soft spot, the fontanelle. They believe through rigorous research,
guesswork,
that adults lose the wonder, vigor, energy, and imagination of childhood because our pulsing brains are unable to pulse when our heads get hard.
Oh my God! Well, here's what they did. They saw that children have wonder and imagination, and then they saw that adults seem to have less of that, and they saw that children have squishy heads and adults don't.
Yeah.
Ipso facto, done deal. We understand each other now. Like, it's obvious when you think about it.
Yeah, but you know what adults have that children don't have?
What?
A mortgage.
Yeah.
Well, also, like, fucking we've seen the shit now.
Right.
Like, a kid
Exactly.
sees everything for the first time. So, like, there's a whole bunch of new shit all the time.
Right. And there's a lot of blanks in a child's intellect, and they fill it in with making fun stuff up and imagination and play and all that stuff. And like Doug says, eventually you get a mortgage and a job.
And
life beats you down.
And Netflix and chill, and then the grave.
Yeah.
So anyway, the hardened skull inhibits it also inhibits what they call it's hard to say this, brain blood volume, which is all one word. Brain blood volume. So trepanationists either have or are seeking to drill a small hole in their own heads.
Oh my God.
One assumes that it's not like, not like a 2x2 inch hole.
No, so some of the from history, some of the ancient skulls that have been found have sometimes like an inch or an inch and a half hole, and sometimes more than one.
Yeah.
Oh my! These guys are talking about enough to get a soda straw through,
and that's enough to make the pulsing happen and the brain blood volume.
If you're going to ask too many questions, it's going to seem ridiculous. Okay.
Well, I wouldn't want that.
You know what you shouldn't do in this equation? Put your brain to use.
Yeah, right. I mean, these guys might have maybe.
You know what your head's missing? A place to put my pencil. So, Peter Halverson, Bart Hughes, and Joe Mellon, and Joe's partner Amanda Fielding have all self-trepanated.
Oh my God!
Some of these ghastly procedures have been caught on film.
Yikes!
They've all done them to themselves. I guess that prevents you from getting in legal trouble if you do it to someone else. Like, doctors will not do this.
No.
I should fucking hope.
I should fucking hope so.
Remember that Hippocrates guy that you were talking about? He makes them all take an oath.
Yeah, and good job him.
Yeah.
So anyway, as of May 31st, 1998, which was the date of the Washington Post article I found all these people quoted in, they were somehow still alive. Very much so. Amanda Fielding ran to become a member of Parliament from Chelsea in the UK on a free trepanation for everyone platform and miraculously managed to attract 40 votes.
Wow.
Yeah.
She took the turkey in every pot canard in a really
hole
weird
in every
direction.
So these New Age trepanists, for the most part, had spent the 1960s experimenting with every kind of psychedelic drug and new spiritually elevating practice to set them free from what they felt were the disappointments and mundanity of adult life. Hughes, a guy who almost became a doctor, it's a long story and nobody gives a shit, was shown he could get high by standing on his head. So in a eureka moment, he came to believe by relieving pressure in and delivering more oxygen to and providing more of that precious brain blood volume.
Brain blood volume.
It's a crazy word. To the brain, one could live in a permanent state of, quote, high, and the childhood pulsing of the brain could begin anew.
Let me tell you something. You ask any meth addict, you don't want permanent high. You need the low to get the feeling of the high, and the closer you get to like always being high, the worse it gets.
Well,
and you start to become immune to it. This is the wrong. I'm just saying he's taking the wrong approach. Just fucking wait and then stand on your head again in another day or two.
Well, I do the knockout game, or what's the game?
Where you make yourself pass out?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
No, don't do that.
No, don't do that.
Yeah.
So it decreases your blood volume.
Blah, blah, blah. Do they drill the hole in their head and just leave the hole?
Yep. They just leave the hole. It's like a 1/4 inch or a 3/8 inch
my God.
hole.
But the skin covers it over.
No, not really. It kind of
No, that must.
It looks like a belly button.
Yeah.
It looks like a belly button.
Yeah.
And the one of the, I can't remember which one said the time he drilled a hole in his head. Finally, he tried a couple times and was not successful because there's a mortician's version, which is like a hole saw that you go with big sharp teeth, and he just the sound was too much. And he couldn't.
Yeah.
Do it. But when he said when he finally did it, the beautiful sound, feeling like there were bubbles of air and water rushing into his head.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm very, very uncomfortable.
I told you.
Right now.
When I was writing this, I'm like, I should have had one less drink last night because my blood volume is
mostly alcohol.
Is 1.8%.
Self-trepanation?
Trepanation.
Trepanation is the plot from Darren Aronofsky's first film. Pi.
It is. That's right. That's right.
Which if you have to watch a video of this, watch that movie.
Okay.
So, Dan, you brought up the meth high, which is an intense high.
Yes.
This kind of permanent state of high is exactly what the people who've done this to themselves say they've achieved. However, Peter Halverson, who's a real evangelist for this shit, describes it as like having a couple of beers. Everything is pretty much the same. You're just more relaxed and can make connections a little easier. Now,
I make connections super easy when I'm drunk.
The skeptical among us might say this is more an argument for having a couple beers
right.
than using a Black & Decker to expose your brain. But who are we to question the sanity of acid casualties that hear whistling when they think?
Right.
And more to the point, if you've made an unholy mess in your bathroom by drilling a hole in the middle of your forehead, and are you then going to tell people it didn't work? I think not.
Right.
You got to commit to the bit. So if you think maybe trepanation is right for you,
don't.
There's some info online you can check out, though I hope you won't. There's actually a documentary about it called Hole in the Head. And again, apparently there's footage of Amanda Fielding doing it to herself, and it is just apparently horrendous.
Not going to do that. Not going to see that.
Not for me, thank you. So I feel like we've talked you into it.
I feel like everybody should try this. Just imagine the imagination that will unfold if you increase that blood-brain volume.
The childlike wonder that will return.
I feel like a disclaimer is in order right now.
A self-lobotomy with a Milwaukee hammer drill.
Yeah, definitely do not.
So check it out. And
drill a hole in your
How
head.
to Heretic does not endorse or condone.
All the woos we watch out for are basically the same. This is like carrying a crystal in your pocket. So give it a shot.
Hey, drill a hole in your head and stick a crystal in there.
Stick a crystal in and then hold in a sneeze and shoot it out. So anyway, that's it for trepanation. I'm really sorry. Let's move on.
Please. Gentlemen, this is through the magic of recording technology. I don't know if you know this. We don't do this show live. The people hearing this are hearing it a time after we've recorded it.
We barely do it alive.
We barely do.
Yeah.
This is live on tape, as they used to say in the 80s.
That's right.
And so with this one, we're recording ahead of time because y'all bitches are going on vacation without me.
That's
Rude.
right.
Rude.
True.
And so we won't know who has given us gifts and who has shown us love for this week.
So if in the meantime, just really put the screws to us so that when we come back from vacation, we see there's so many fucking patrons.
We're embarrassed.
We'll do a whole show thanking patrons.
Yes, everyone can look forward to that.
Yeah, boy, we all love those. No, but if you appreciate the content that you're getting here, you can go to howtoheretic.com, click on the Patreon button, and that takes you over to our Patreon page where you may sign up and contribute.
Throw a couple bucks in, or as many bucks as you want.
If you go a little bit higher, you might get a saint. You might be sainted. You might get your own heaven.
Yeah, we can give you a destination where you will go forever.
So remember that, and go and throw a little into the kitty. Yep. And we will thank you and those who we missed next week.
And give us 5 stars if you can. You can do that anytime, even if we're on vacation. Anywhere there is a place to give us 5 stars, that helps us out. And without further adu, let's not do this anymore.
Okay.
Uncle Mark.
Yeah.
You okay over there?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, Uncle Dan wants to talk about something that we're not sure what it is.
Yeah, and I'm a little uncomfortable about it. I can sense that.
Oh, come on.
So I think Uncle Dan has a how-to all on deck here.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's stop this song before we have to pay any rights.
Yeah.
You guys.
Because Lisa Left Eye Lobe will come in here and bust your ass.
Is that who sings that song?
Well, it was Salt and Pepper.
And
no, was it Salt and Who was it?
Yeah, I think.
It was Salt and Pepper.
I don't think that's Lisa Loeb.
Lisa Left Eye Lobe. Isn't that? She was the one that had the condom.
In case anyone out there is wondering, we are 3 white people.
We are 3 white
but she
idiots.
was the one that had the condom.
There's a Left Eye. I just don't think it was Lisa Loeb. That's another singer.
All right, sue me.
Okay. Anywho.
Is it Lisa Left Earlobe?
Okay, stop it. On track. We're gonna get through this segment if it kills us.
All right, what are we how-toing here, Uncle Dan?
Here's the thing. As you guys know, and as I've spoken a little bit on our show about my relationship with the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes.
Indeed.
And now, I may have mentioned on the show, I am currently playing Frankenfurter as an actor. I'm in a production of the Rocky Horror Show.
And may I say, it is a triumph.
You are not playing Frankenfurter. You are Frankenfurter. You own that.
Well, you plump when we cook you. You are amazing.
Honestly, stole the show.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Frankenfurter better steal the show,
Right.
but you stole the show.
Oh, well, that's very kind and the reason that I wanted to start this way.
Yeah.
Anyway, one of the things that's interesting about the Rocky Horror Show in a modern context is how many ways in which it talks about sex that meant one thing in the 1970s when it came out, and an entirely other thing in the 2018s when it's being currently performed at the Grand Theater in Salt Lake City, Utah.
When you were young, and we talked about this when we did a rated R how-to several shows ago.
Right.
And you brought it up as one of the iconic rated Rs that you kind of had to pass through in your life.
Yeah.
And
scared the bejesus out of me.
And it scared the Jesus out of you then. And as we talked about downstairs a little while before the show, it scares the bejesus out of you a little bit in different ways now.
In a totally different way. Now it's like, now I'm worried about like all the rapey stuff. And like nobody that's coming to this show now is like shocked at the sight of a man in ladies' lingerie.
No.
Right.
That doesn't exist anymore. We're all quite inured to that vision.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that's kind of funny. Like
if this was the video format, you'd see that right now with 3 people.
Right, exactly. We're all happily ensconced in teddies and whatnot. But young Dan was shocked and couldn't get past. There's this whole thing of there's this whole plot point, if this thing has any plot points, which is debatable.
Very
I'm sure.
debatable, yeah.
There's this plot point of this character, Dr. Frankenfurter, who's like this crazed sort of sex maniac.
Yeah.
You could term it, there's a number of ways you could phrase this, but let's just be charitable and say he unlocks the inner sexuality of a couple of squares that wander into his realm.
That was tiptoeing through the minefield right there.
Yeah.
Boy, I want you as my lawyer if anything ever goes down, because you put a spin on that was...
We're going to ignore, for right now, for the purposes of this conversation, we'll ignore the fact that he basically rapes 2 people and then, they're fine afterwards, whatever.
Yes, as is typically the case.
As is typically the case. They actually enjoyed it, as every rape victim in 70s and 80s literature and lore did.
I wish you had a sound effect of someone running away down a hallway.
So let's not get into the mire of that, because that is a whole other conversation. What I want to talk about is the fact that I recently had a conversation with a young person who's fresh out of religion, and she is currently, she's in her early 20s. And still a virgin, and has all of this Mormon nonsense swirling in her head about her own sexuality.
Right.
And about sexuality in general, and about sex specifically. And I wanted to talk about, young Dan watching Rocky Horror had all of the same shit swirling in his head about like fucking sex is bad, sex is bad, sex is bad.
Yeah.
And at some point, gentlemen, we 3 all kind of, at least intellectually, got past that thinking.
Yeah, we sure did. So I just wanted a point of personal preference here, if I could just say.
Sure.
I think the term virgin is problematic. So, if, she's sexually inexperienced at this point.
Indeed.
As an adult.
It was a word that she herself used, but I'm absolutely fine just saying yes.
It's different when they call each other that.
Sure. That's their word.
It's their word.
That's not for us to use.
Ugly word.
In case it's not clear, we are 3 men.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we sound like 3 virgins. Sorry to use that.
But I mean, when I was young, the programming of the religion fucked me up sexually speaking.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I wanted to talk, just do a how-to discussion. None of us. Are,
I'm just. You two have at it. I'm just
stop
over
it.
here.
Stop it. None of us are professional therapists or anything like that. We should start with that caveat. We have no training in this, but we all had to go through a process. And mine was pretty painful. But I wanted to just open up the floor and talk about how we got past the programming.
Well, is it worthwhile to start with the program, like what the barrier looked like to the three of us? Right?
Sure.
Sure.
I mean, it unsurprisingly, it's not unique to Mormonism. The taboo that was placed on sex, I think perhaps somewhat unique to Mormonism. Sex wasn't evil unless it existed outside of the confines of a celestial marriage.
Right.
So, you were just discouraged from any kind of physical contact with a until you were married.
Or with yourself.
Or absolutely, or with yourself.
That's the crazy part. Like, you want to start fucking up a young male, tell him not to masturbate.
Yeah.
Or a young lady.
Or a young lady.
Yeah.
I mean, I just know that, like, guys more anyway, I won't speculate.
Religious
about that.
people are more obsessed they're absolutely obsessed with female sexuality.
Right.
But when it comes to masturbation, it seems to be it's a boy problem, not a girl problem.
Right.
But I will say that and Elizabeth Smart, who is locally known for what happened to her when she was kidnapped,
internationally known for
of course. Of course.
She was kidnapped by a crazy person
and repeatedly raped over the course of 9 months.
Right.
Yeah.
Until she was found.
And she was 14 years old.
14 years old. But she has a very unique perspective of it from the female perspective of being a Mormon, which she still is, that she had seminary teachers tell her that a woman was like a piece of gum.
Right.
And that who wants a chewed up piece of gum?
Right.
Men I was never taught that.
Correct.
I was never
we were
given
never
that.
taught that we were damaged goods.
Never.
Just that we'd sinned very badly. But
right.
We could recover from that. Right.
And the very badly part is, like, many Mormons talk about it being second only to murder.
Yeah.
Like, it's in the hierarchy of sin, there's murder, and then there's the act of physical love, and then there's, thievery or whatever.
And we don't have to talk about it in great detail, but certainly in Mormonism and many other things, there is recently there has been this movement to stop adult clergy people from asking sexually explicit questions of minors alone in rooms,
right?
Which is basically masturbation shaming.
Yes.
So
or masturbation fuel, depending on which person you're talking about.
Right. Yeah. On one side it's one, and on the other side it's another.
Exactly.
Well, that's has been fun. So, I don't know. You're done talking about your barrier, Doug?
Oh God, no. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. No, please.
I mean, mine's obviously complicated in a different way because I knew I was gay. That began to occur to me terrifyingly at a pretty young age.
Right.
Around 11, I was pretty sure something was off. So sexuality freaked me out in a way that maybe is a little different color.
Absolutely.
Because
I think so.
If I just stayed the fuck away from it forever,
right,
then I could never be found out.
Which was the mandate that you were given.
Right, but yes, it is the mandate you're given as nobody knew I was a young gay person. I don't know what the fuck was wrong with my parents. A very artistic, dramatic young man. But
but so was I. And
true dat.
Look how I turned out.
True dat. They beat it out of you.
I'm disappointingly straight.
Such a goddamn disappointment. So anyway, there was for teenagers we all raised Mormon. There was an acceptable level of courtship, companionship, an acceptable level of interest in the opposite sex.
Yes.
Whereas from my perspective, there was no acceptable level of interest.
Correct.
And if I had demonstrated it, my generation, I would have been shipped to electrocution.
Yes.
I would have been tortured into a damaged, ruined, more ruined person than
You could have. So we could go on dates. That was allowed.
It was expected.
Exactly. Dances.
Encouraged and everything.
Yeah, dances and stomps, and remember stomps?
Stomps. Which are just dances.
Dances. I mean, it's fairly tightly regulated and chaperoned, but that was totally acceptable and encouraged.
Yeah.
So what you had to wrestle with and hide from, because you could have been hurt physically. You could have been beat up or killed.
And it would not have been out of the realm of possibility for our parents to have killed me.
Yeah.
And so...
Or your community at that time. I mean, it was...
Pardon me. So my barrier was pretty high. And the idea was, like, literally, if I just don't express any sort of sexuality, I'll just get through this somehow and I'll figure it out at some point. And
it was your path to safety.
Yeah, I just had to stay alive. I had to stay under the radar completely.
Right.
So...
No, even worse, though. You had to go to dance. You went to dances.
Oh, I went to dances?
You had to. You couldn't not.
I went to every girl's choice dance. Oh, I'm sorry, all you guys. All you very nice girls out there who asked me out on... And it didn't quite work out.
Why
but
doesn't
we had a
he
nice
ever
time.
call me back?
So I will reveal something about myself. I didn't masturbate until I was 21.
Wow.
Ever.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Ever. Because...
It's unnatural.
Oh, yeah. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Like, I'm lucky to be alive.
Right.
But the point was, as soon as I cracked open the door to understanding what it was that turned me on, there's never be any going back.
Right.
You know, I had friends in my business that went to a hypnotist one night, you know, just one of those shows.
Sure.
And and one of them decided one of my friends decided he was Phil Collins and he was up on the stage drumming.
Sure.
And they wanted me to go with him next time. I was terrified to go.
Right, because you might reveal something.
He'd unlock the door, right?
Because you'd be Elton John.
And so because I'd be Elton John.
Liberace.
Because I'd be Cher. So Cher's awesome. So that made then beginning to engage with a sexual life when I decided I could allow myself to do it. You know, you're going through, we may have talked about this before, but a lot of queer people are going through the shit at 25, 26, 27, 40.
Right.
That heterosexual kids, even if they were stuck in a religious community, were going through at 11, 12, 13, 14.
Yes, exactly.
And so it's kind of nightmarish. So, and, you know, without going into too much gory detail, there's other complications to gay sex that you have to figure out. And
like, which one's the woman?
Which one's the bitch? And I'm not going to say anything more about that. Doug's the bitch.
I generate a lot of power from the bottom is what I do.
So, you know, it was made weirder by the fact that it wasn't that I was really religious. That, you know, those shames were really embedded.
Yeah.
But it was more that if I get found out,
right,
I have nothing left. I have no community, no family, nothing left.
Right.
So, that's my fucking Norman Rockwell painting.
So I feel like so there's our groundwork. There's our starting point.
Yeah.
We leave the church, but we're still but you know, it's not as easy as just intellectually going, "Oh,
no,
I'm free to have sex now."
It is not. Yeah.
Ta-da.
Yeah.
Easy. Sex is always going to be like your first few sexual encounters are always going to be awkward.
Pretty terrible.
No matter what. Yeah. But
I mean, for any listeners that may be sexually inexperienced, they don't have to be.
They don't have to be. But
don't
what
get me wrong. Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is maybe we can guide some people in a way that might give them a softer landing.
Yeah, and if there are listeners who are sexually inexperienced, I don't mean to say they were terrible. I mean to say I probably wasn't the most attentive lover.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
you certainly have become that.
Well,
yeah.
I learned from the best.
It's getting really creepy in here, and I don't know. I'm very uncomfortable.
So but it's interesting. It's interesting that is the common remembrance or understanding of first sexual experiences, that they were terrible. And I think part of why people remember them as terrible or expected them to be terrible is because of the same fucking system setting you up to fail that we're trying to address here.
Yeah.
So,
right. Well, I mean, mine were terrible in part because I was still a Mormon and a believer.
so you were just in hell
when I first started.
Yeah.
Because while my brain believed, my hands were very excited about the idea of boobs.
3.5 billion years of evolution was at work.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So I was literally, you have your first girlfriend and you make out with her. I had, and that was like, and those first kisses, the first make out sessions, fireworks are going off. It's the most amazing thing that's ever happened. And it's just this a remarkable moment. And I was young, I was 14. And then, things progress, and I was with a very, very Mormon girl, but she also has all those billions of years of evolution behind her.
If only you'd have known at the time to say, we're as old as one of Joseph Smith's wives.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So this is fine.
This is all totally acceptable.
At least one of Joseph Smith's wives.
Right.
Diversion aside.
I ended up, touching her in her downstairs region. Mm-hmm. That was my first non-lip sexual contact. And then, I had subsequent girlfriends after that I ended up touching in their upstairs, and then different things. I couldn't stop myself from sexually exploring, but I also would immediately afterward just crush myself with guilt.
Yeah, and that is I completely agree. Every experience I had along the spectrum of sexuality, even after I left the church, was anytime the first time I touched a girl's boob or kissed a girl or anything else. There was that, and then long after I left the church, there was that suffocating guilt the moment after that was just terrifying and crushing and soul-destroying guilt.
And not fun for your partner. Let me tell you. No. Right. I remember specifically one girlfriend, this was more college age. I had pretty much, no, I hadn't left the church. I guess this was right as I was leaving the church. I think I was about 19. And we did some stuff, never full penile penetration, but that doesn't matter. It was still sex. We were still doing a lot of stuff. And the day after, I remember just sitting on the sofa. She's next to me, and I'm just like, we can never do this again. We can never do this again. She's not Mormon. She's fine. And she's sitting there she's having to put up with this awful wreck of a person.
Case of a kid, yeah.
Who would want to deal with that? That's the worst.
Well, and a lot of what comes out of that, like Doug was talking about, feeling all that shame and guilt, is it creates a really ugly interpersonal dynamic between two people. Like, oh my God, there's this flame of passion, and then whoop, now there's all this resentment and weird, I can't talk to you, I can't see you, and abandonment.
And what we did was evil, so maybe you're evil. Sometimes that happens.
Right.
Maybe
I'm going to blame you for this.
Right.
And then I'll be okay.
Yeah. So some people can get aggressive and mean.
Yes, exactly right.
After this sort of thing.
In dealing with the shame and the guilt and the shitty programming.
Right.
Those are not, if you consensually go into a sexual engagement with a person, it's not their problem that you've got weird fucking programming about it afterwards, right?
And if you find yourself being mean, that is you being a shit, right? And you have to own that,
right? Yeah. So it's there's a need to be cognizant about knowing that's possibly coming, right? And there's people, I see it on Twitter sometimes, weird sexual shaming behavior where it's well, that's why you feel so terrible after you masturbate. Is the devil or Jesus or whatever, and it's you people will have a rush of endorphins during sexual activity, whether alone or in a group, and then after that, the endorphin level will go down.
Yeah,
and that is not Jesus making you ashamed of yourself. That is brain chemistry,
right?
Having done what your body is supposed to do, and that is contribute to propagating the species,
right?
Or contribute to a very pleasurable experience.
But evolutionarily,
yeah.
Well, I mean that's not what your body's doing. So I mean I'm saying
right.
So,
but that's what the chemistry is about,
right?
And then you come down from that. That is not Jesus or the Holy Ghost, kicking you in the balls.
Right.
That is just a chemical reaction in your body that you should not feel any shame or fear about.
Well, and then, on the other side of that, I harbor a fair amount of resentment for the lack of education or useful information I was given.
Yeah.
And I'd say the same thing about alcohol, because I was raised to believe alcohol and sex were twin evils.
And then you grew up and found out that was true.
No, but with alcohol, sex, you actually start to have sexual experiences And even though there's that shame that's associated with it that you have to kind of deprogram yourself of, you realize it's great. It's awesome. It's wonderful. And I am very lucky that because I was irresponsible and I was dumb about it. I was reckless because I didn't have that experience. No one sat me down and told me about the birds and the bees.
Well, and if you're going to be evil, if that's where your brain's at,
yeah,
then you don't have the motivation to be responsible because you're in evil space. So I think there's this thing. It's the same thing when kids from repressive households start to drink. They just binge.
That's what I did.
They just go crazy.
Yeah,
because they haven't been taught. Because it's so far out of the realm of okay for so long that you just go nuts. Whereas kids who grew up in households where drinking was normalized and where it was fine,
they don't. It's not something that they rebel with.
Right.
Same with sexuality.
Yeah.
Right.
And here's the poison generationally, I think, of all this shaming, right? All these guilt matrix and shaming people is, Doug and I we're 2 of 4 boys. One of the other boys an older one in our family, he and his girlfriend got pregnant when they were 16. It was an enormously problematic time in 2 families' lives, and these 2 young kids' lives, and then a 3rd kid's life, and then a 4th kid's life. But even after all that, even after the family completely fell apart and
years-long custody battle,
total disaster, our parents never told any of us.
Yeah.
There was never a single discussion about sex.
So
sexuality.
The one
Ever.
brother we're talking about is the oldest. I'm the youngest. And there was a pretty big split between myself and that brother. And in the wake of all of that, they never pulled me aside as a very young man and said, all right, here's the deal. This is what sex is. This is,
Right.
They wouldn't talk about it.
Yeah.
Right. So I have to believe there's a better way than what I went through. Because my way of sort of processing all of this was just years and years. My first wife, I got together with her when I was about 20 and stayed with her for about a decade. And that was my sexual experience for my 20s.
Yeah.
And I processed a lot of it with this same person. But it was still there. That same cloud that had been implanted in my brain hung over most of that marriage as I was processing, and it was probably unfair of me. She had her own. I mean, she was raised LDS too, so I think she just had an easier time processing it than I did. But I feel like maybe we can discuss some possible ways that a person fresh out of a religion might awaken their sexuality, which is a beautiful, which can be a beautiful and happy part of their lives, without pathologizing themselves.
Right.
And I think that's what and we may want to get some professional help in this discussion later at another time.
Yeah.
But as I was talking to this young person the other day, I just thought to myself, and we discussed a few things, a few ideas that I was brainstorming with her. She was remarkably, delightfully open, and it was just a nice, gentle discussion.
Is that a person in their 20s?
In her early 20s. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that nobody was ever able to. I realized that I was talking to her in a way that no one had ever spoken to me.
Just super openly and
just that this is, first of all, your sexuality is a beautiful part of yourself, whatever your sexuality is, and you can honor that, and you can love that. And then she's started the conversation by saying she's never dated, and she's immersed in hookup culture right now.
Yeah,
young people are looking for a quick fuck, and she's afraid of that, rightfully so. I get it. So
yeah, it's pretty intimidating. Like that's a very intimidating. And that's the culture I landed in,
right?
As a youngish gay man,
right?
It seemed to me it was all just fuck culture, all hookup culture, and
right.
I was very intimidated by that.
People who don't know each other finding each other, and now on Tinder, and just like never even learning each other's names and just fucking or whatever.
It's called Grindr.
Well, for you it is. Yeah.
Oh, there's another one.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever.
They have that.
Gross.
Anyway, so yeah, other than my just constant self-shaming and
My hiding.
Your hiding the stuff. I feel like the first step needs to be maybe just acknowledge that it's good. That like even though there are negative things surrounding sex,
there are negative things surrounding everything.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you can still acknowledge that
the ball pit at Chuck E. Cheese is just full of bacteria.
There's no positive to that one.
They tell me that every time, and they're like, "You are the reason.
You're out. You're out." But there's so yes, there is sexual disease that you need to be aware of.
Yep.
There is obviously for straight people there is pregnancy that you need to be aware of and avoid. Definitely never get pregnant ever.
Yeah.
Well, I would recommend having an unwanted pregnancy in America in 2018.
Oh,
so just putting that out there.
Don't do it after 2018.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've covered a lot of this stuff with Dr. D, who is our OBGYN friend and sex educator, which is like contraception,
right?
Safe sex.
We've talked about consent with her.
Yep, we have a very long conversation about consent, which is you must always have.
Yes, and enthusiastic consent at that.
Yeah, with anything alive.
Right.
I think that's an important caveat. So do we want to talk about this on this segment, or we'll do necrophilia another time? We'll do it another time.
We'll figure it out.
I want to do a whole show on necrophilia.
That's a whole show. Kettle of bodies. That
we'll do that for Christmas.
Yeah, delightful. I think so. I think
acknowledging you are a sexual being.
Mm-hmm.
This is how there is no fucking shame in the equipment you popped into this world with.
Yeah.
The collection of nerve endings and things that in your head that are you.
Right.
That is beautiful. And whatever flavor of desire that involves
adult
or whatever age appropriate.
Right.
It's perfectly fine for young people, minors to get together. If this is a slippery slope, but anyway,
yeah.
There's no shame in whatever that is you are, right? That's
right.
Beautiful and wonderful.
Even if you are, and we should acknowledge that asexuality is a thing too,
and that's another thing.
And if you check in with yourself and you go deep and you just learn that sex is not for you,
yeah,
fine,
yeah.
That's we're not here to say that everyone has to have sex, but I think a lot of people who are afraid of sex, who don't want to have sex, are that way because they've been trained to be that way, by their religion, and I think that you can deprogram yourself from that religious training.
Well, and I would say just it is very hard to do, and there.
Tell me about your experience, Doug.
You want me to go into detail? Okay, so what happened was
no, not those details, but like, did you struggle to?
Oh yeah, even so, I left the church intellectually. When I left, I was so all in that getting out was actually it was kind of an all in, all out kind of a thing.
Yeah, but
I still wrestled with the guilt. Every sexual experience I had for years, was followed on by this crushing guilt, and it just you kind of have to just work your way through it. And it's if you have resources. Friends or family that you can talk about it. If you can seek professional help, you should definitely do that.
Yeah. But
just know that it sucks that you have to go through that guilt and that stigma, but you're not alone. You're not the only one going through that. And if that's of any consolation at all, it should be. Yeah. But if you have resources, avail yourself of the resources.
Yeah, and I would also say it's not just the guilt and shame. From the particulars of the family Doug and I shared in our religion, we both walked out of that church with a tremendous amount of misogyny.
Right.
Yeah.
And that, that didn't enter into my sexual existence very much.
Right.
But it certainly must have played a huge part in yours.
Yeah. I mean, but you spend your entire youth being told that women's purpose is to have babies.
Frankly, I would imagine that misogyny that we were raised with actually affects women more than it affects men.
Absolutely.
100%.
So, I mean, to the young women who are listening to this, or even older women who are listening to this, there's some of the steps along the way will probably be to like really examine the messaging that you were given,
right,
and really understand that it's not true.
Right.
The things that you were told about your body, about who owns it, about what is okay to do with it,
what your autonomy is,
and what men think about you if you've had sex versus if you haven't. That's not true.
Yeah.
And it's not yours, and you don't have to keep it.
Right. And a lot of the programming, what young women take out of this is that they are a piece of fruit that can only get bruised once.
Right.
Right. And they...
Once a bite is taken, it's gone forever.
It's that chewed up piece of gum. And when I heard Elizabeth Smart say that she thought about that every time she was raped over 9 months, I almost went insane.
Yeah, she thought that she would never be able to get a husband now.
Right, and she had opportunities to run away, and she didn't take it because of that fucking training.
Yeah. Well, who will have me now?
Right, and I think especially for all of us, it was empowering when we began to shed all that garbage.
Right.
But I would think for women, it is incredibly empowering.
Yeah. And when you talk about shedding it, I think I want to make it clear that this is an active process.
Right.
I did it passively.
Right.
I just tried to let it shed itself, and I don't think that's the right move.
You got to peel it off.
You got to look at it directly in the face, and you got to say, I don't want you.
Right.
You're not me. You were forced on me.
Yeah.
And let it go and get rid of it, because there's something beautiful about you that you can own.
And totally, and especially with, again, going back to women in these conservative religious cultures, the power dynamic was set up on purpose. The patriarchy is there for a fucking reason.
Right.
It's to keep you unequal. And if I can't imagine the amount of work it takes and deprogramming it takes and experience it takes, but when you can get to that place where you realize you are a fucking co-equal in this relationship, and you make the same decisions, you have the same desires, I think that must be incredibly liberating.
Yeah, absolutely.
But very hard to get to, I would think.
Yeah, it is hard to get to. I do think that I think that you can. There are steps that can be taken. Probably, maybe part of it is about masturbating and consciously saying to yourself, "This is good. This is okay. I want to know my body."
Yeah,
and I got the messaging that your body is a temple, not a playground. That is the fucking opposite of the truth.
Right.
Your body is your fucking playground. It's the only one you get, and you have full autonomy over it.
Yeah.
You can do to it whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. Just be careful.
Be careful. You can hurt yourself.
Yes.
And that's the other thing, is that if this is done with intention, if this deprogramming, if this active seeking of a healthy, happy sexuality is done with that intention, then you might not make the mistakes that we made, which, go out and fuck someone just because you think you're supposed to, or because you think you should.
That's the pressures, peer pressure in your culture.
You can seek out a partner who's going to be gentle and caring with you as you go, as you explore together. And it can be a mutual exploration instead of, oh fuck, I've got to please this other person. You don't have to please your partner. Yeah. You just have to, you have to be, your best bet is to be honest and open with a partner, and let an exploration happen. Let some, make it joyful.
And the other thing and this is complicated because I certainly never had anything like this in my life. I don't know if you guys did, but if you can have some kind of mentor, if there is someone who is experienced and has been around, that block a few times, that you feel comfortable having a conversation with, and
safe, I'm not
talking about having sex with them necessarily. I'm talking about just
but if you can have sex with them, maybe,
or talk you through it.
Yeah.
Some sex can be complicated.
Right.
And so, I've never done this. How do you do this?
Yeah. Find someone to ask the questions, because there's so much shame about this.
Yeah.
And frankly, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Don't be ashamed. Don't ever let yourself, you're going to feel feelings, and that's just going to happen. But don't let the fear of awkwardness make you go into a situation that you're not prepared for.
Right.
And just sort of bumble. We all bumble our way through plenty of sexual experiences, but you can actually ask questions, and you can stop, and you can try things gently and with intention, and that's
and have
you
fun.
You don't have to get drunk and just hope for the best, which I think was
like when we fly planes.
Right. Exactly.
But there's also this idea of the people that planted the shit in your head are not entitled to be in that room with you.
Correct.
So don't bring them into the room with you.
Yeah.
Right. When you go,
or if you find them there, ask them to leave.
Tell them to leave.
Yeah.
Tell them to get the fuck out. They don't carry the poison they put in your head with you. If you can help it into that room, try to get out of the habit.
Boy, it's just crazy the damage that these people can do. You're being messed up in the head sexually by mostly men who have very terrible views on sex and probably have not had a sexual experience in 20 or 30 years. Or it's just really, it's just
well,
nuts.
and women too. I mean, like mothers perpetuate this stuff just as much as
Oh yeah,
but yeah, these rules are invented by idiot men who want to control women and men.
Yeah.
And it's not you. None of that is to do with reality.
Mm-hmm.
So reality's here, and it includes really lovely sex if you want it to.
Yeah.
But you have to go and find it.
Yeah. And you'll work through it.
Yeah.
Right? And if you have to start doing the work at some point if you want to have a sexual existence. And so do it with as much knowledge and courage and as little garbage in your head as you can.
So, Uncle Dan, are you going to change that particular part of the play now with Frankenfurter? Is it going to get a little bit more consensual?
It's very tender. It's a very joyful, open, honest.
If you're going to have non-consensual sex with a transsexual space monster, you could do worse.
You could do worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least he'll sing to you.
What do the Mormons call rape now? It's non-consensual transgression.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Talk about some programming, kids.
Jesus God. Don't believe them.
Yep.
Don't believe us either. Go out and find your joy, and we'll move on from there.
Let's move on.
Well, friends, that's it for this week's show.
Hey, we'd love to hear from y'all. Send us an email, howto@howtoheretic.com.
Or if you can hold a phone up to any of the holes in your head, you can leave us a voicemail at 903-88-HOW-TO, which is 903-884-6986. You can also tell me about the hole in your head on Twitter, and I'll show you mine.
Yes, indeed.
Or on Facebook with Uncle Dan.
Yeah. Hey, thanks again to all of our patrons. You are delicious people.
You are delicious, but not as delicious as Cody Layton, who edits the hole in our head.
Yes, and thank all of y'all for tuning in.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, friends.